Source Podcast.
Okay, so ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Souls episode 40. Like, hello.
Yeah, you awkward.
Okay, I gotta get used to speaking to a camera. Okay.
That felt so forced too. It's okay, Molly. She's like, hello. I was like, oh my god, you're so uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, because I'm
okay.
not talking to an actual person. Okay,
Okay, well, just take your time.
Just look at one of us and speak, or talk to yourself, whichever.
still. That's still awkward. There's
It's
no,
okay.
It's okay.
I was
It's
like,
just us. It's
but anyway,
okay.
yeah, but like I said, anyway,
Episode 40.
episode 40.
Carry on.
Today, I am your host, Molly. So this is, the hostess. Is it hostesses or hostess?
Yeah, I'm your hostess.
And
Hostesses,
plural.
Oh.
Hostesses.
Is it hostesses?
Hey, that makes me hungry. Is that what the
Yeah.
candy hostesses?
Yes.
Sorry.
Anyways, I'm Melissa.
Anyways, yeah.
Michelle.
Anna.
Okay, so I think this episode 40 marks, I think starts in October. So we decided to do like a murder mystery theme-ish.
Dark top.
Dark topics. So, since I am the...
Yeah, there you go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh. Sorry, I just don't watch scary movies.
I need a
so.
soundboard. The girl screaming.
But yeah, so I think this episode will launch in the first week of October. So since we're doing murder mystery theme, I decided to do a murder mystery case, and we're gonna talk about the case of Maddie Clifton.
Any trigger warnings before you start?
I don't think so.
Just murder.
Just murder,
Killing. Violence.
hiding a body, I guess.
Violence.
Yeah, I don't
guess.
think there was like any like distinct details of like of the
what
thing.
happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this story takes place in Lakewood, Florida in November of 1998.
Wow.
So, literally, I was not 1 year old yet.
Yeah.
That's if y'all can guess how old I am. But anyway, so this takes place in a nice neighborhood. I guess you call it like a suburb neighborhood. And so you can tell that it's a nice, friendly neighborhood, and typical. There'll be the kids around playing, with adults supervision. And you do mind this is like in the 90s, so kids will be playing outside
Actually
without
playing
kids,
outside.
without adults outside with them.
Smell the grass.
You know,
Touch grass.
Touch the grass.
touch grass.
Touch grass.
Touch grass.
Oh, sorry.
Apparently, that's the new. What do you call them nowadays?
That's what the young
Slang.
kids say.
Slang.
It's slang. Yeah.
Slang.
That's what the
Touch
young kids
grass.
say.
So yeah, introducing Maddie Clifton. So she's can't talk today. She's an 8-year-old, and she is the youngest of two girls. And the older sister's name is Jessie, who she's 11 years old. And so typical girls, they like to play outside, like to play outdoor sports, etc. And them. She knows a lot of kids in the neighborhood, so they'll like to go out and play together. So on November 3rd, these girls are, the usual outside playing in the front yard, and then their mom, I think her name was Sheila, is their mom's name. She's making dinner in the house, and then I think what they described was the way in her kitchen is there's a kitchen window, so she can see the front yard, so she can see them. They're all playing and everything. So she's making dinner and everything, and then around like 6:30, she calls them in to come in for dinner. And so Jessie, she comes in first, and then her mom sees her, and she asks, Jessie, where's Maddie? And then Jessie's like, oh, she wasn't with me, And then typical mom, she'd be like, where is she?
Yeah.
Because, because since they're it's just the two of them. They're usually stuck together,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's all calling for Maddie around the house. There's still no answer. So she starts to panic. And so she starts to going outside, looking around the house, see if Maddie's anywhere to be found. And then, no, she was not able to find her. So that's when she starts to panic because, it's 6:30. It's in November, so around 6:37, that's when the sun is basically gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so she starts to panic. Instead of calling, I think, her husband, because I think at that time her husband was working. So she ends up calling 911. So, this is the 90s, so I think, or like late 90s, so I think cell phones were popular then. So I think they were saying that if you listen to the call logs while she's calling 911, you can hear her like going door to door, knocking at the doors of the neighbors and seeing if they've seen her. So she's like talking on the 911 calls with the popos, and she's like walking around door to door, not asking neighbors, and neighbors are saying like they have not seen her. And so because of that, she starts to freak out. So she goes and talks to this one neighbor, the neighbor across the street, which belongs to the Phillips. So Steve Phillips, which is the neighbor that lives across, it's like directly across the street. Mm-hmm. He has a wife and he has one son named Joshua that lives with them. But then I think he has stepkids, but then I'll talk about them later. So I think during that time, the mom and the son were at the house at that time.
The Phillips?
Yes,
okay.
The Phillips. And so Steve Phillips is what the dad's name is. So Steve just got home whenever Sheila went over there to talk to him about Maddie. And so he went to go talk to his wife and kid and Josh to see if he's seen them. And they're like, no, they haven't seen them. And then I guess this family, the Phillips, they're known to like not come out of the house. They're just always in the house.
They keep to themselves.
Yeah, they just stay indoors the whole time. But then Josh also mentioned that he's seen Maddie outside his window, walking on the streets,
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't like go and greet her, say anything to her or anything.
Josh? So how old is the kid?
He's 14.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now.
And so they just assumed assumption was that Maddie was just abducted. And so they have like this one guy that lives in the neighborhood that they are questionable about, and his name is Larry. Okay. So Larry, he has lived in this neighborhood for about 30 years. And so they suspected on him because I think Popos did like a background check on him. And so he had somewhat of a criminal history. And so, because I think he also came up and said, oh, I've seen Maddie. Oh. It's like, I was playing with her literally like at 5, I think this was like at 5 p.m. But it wasn't just Maddie that he was playing with. I think he's known to play with the kids there because they play, he teaches them how to chip golf balls. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing that's a way to hit the ball.
I guess so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like just something like that. But then he said that day around 5 p.m. they ran out of balls, and so he said that Maddie told him that she was gonna go home to get more balls, and so she left, like I said, around 5 p.m. and then she never came back. And so in his mind, he's like, oh, I assumed that she probably just stayed home for like supper or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the only thing he had about Maddie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the Popos were saying that he was high on the list of suspects because of that and because of the criminal history. But then I think for some reason he either had like a strong alibi and he got cleared, or everyone was just trusted him because he's lived there for so long. Mm-hmm. That they didn't assume that it would have been him because he plays with the kids all the time.
So he's a 30-year-old guy? You said, how old is he?
I don't know how old he
He's
is.
just been there
It's
for
just that
30
he's just
years.
lived in that neighborhood for 30 years. Like more than 30 years.
So definitely
he's really
middle-aged.
old. Yeah.
So he's old, yeah. So they just didn't assume that it was him because I'm pretty sure he's known to play with the kids pretty often.
Yes. It's a red flag to me. An older person playing with kids.
Yeah, and so they just let him go because they people didn't. I think the people didn't. Yeah, they just didn't think it was him.
Oh man.
So they did more searching for Maddie. They checked the woods. They checked her house again, and they checked around. I think the neighborhood and everything. And then the next day, that's when they started putting missing person papers up all over town. And so all of her missing pictures or missing person papers were all over town. I gotta flip it over. Okay. So I think during that they had a great search for her. I think the popos were saying at least like the max they've had was like 4,000 people that were helping to do the search.
Wow.
Because I guess it was stretched from I think I'm gonna guess Jacksonville is really close to wherever they were at. I forgot.
It's a town
Lakewood.
I never heard of.
Lakewood.
Lakewood. So I'm gonna guess Jacksonville isn't that far from Lakewood, and so they weren't able to find anything. So and then November 10th came, and so this was like a week later after
She went missing.
she went missing. So they tore down the whole neighborhood, just to search everything. And so they still weren't able to find anything. And then on that day, the Phillips, the neighbors across the street, the mother, her name is Melissa. She decided,
Not me.
she decided to start cleaning the house because I think at this point, the Popos like searched their house like 3 times because of Joshua's statement because he's seen her.
Yeah, he saw her.
So they did a quick. They searched his house like 3 times, and so because of that, the house was dirty and everything. So Melissa decided to clean the house, and so for some reason that day she decided to clean her son's room. Because she knew it was probably
dirty.
It's dirty.
Teenage boy.
It's a teenage boy. Yeah, it's a teenage boy. They're typically it's dirty, and so she decided to clean that day. And so she went into her boy's room, and it was just like smell. It stank so bad.
It was rank.
It was like dirty. And then, mind you, she also said that they had pets too. He had dogs. He had birds, plus teenager boy. So that equals stinkiness. Stinkiness. And then I think she mentioned that she also noticed that there were like incense and there was like Febreze and odor removing sprays everywhere.
Oh.
And I think they were directly like around his like dresser. And so she was just, she's just like, okay. She's just saying how dirty it was, all the crusty socks on the floor.
Well, I was supposed to say, I must be a white people thing because I cannot imagine you cleaning Liam's room when he's 14. You're like,
You better clean
your own
this
room.
ish up because that's nasty.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, ew, stiff white socks. Stiff
Yeah,
my
and I'm
white
just like,
oh, that's kind of my son's white socks.
but I think, I think they said on the report they had pictures of his room and it was dirty, like
Oh,
super
no.
dirty. I don't know if the crusty socks were there because I didn't see pictures, but it was true on the Febreze and the incense
Oh man.
on the drawers and everything. And I was just like, that's nasty. And so she, like I said, she decided to clean her son's room because she was saying that her son was pretty quiet and preoccupied than usual. So she just thought it was because the neighbors across the street's daughter got missing. So he's kind of like in shock and kind of nervous. So she just figured that's why the room was just dirty. And then I think at this time in the 90s, I think waterbeds were very popular at that time.
I think it was. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking of Arthur when Muffy had a waterbed. She was the only one that had a waterbed. Are those even comfortable?
I don't know. I've never been on one, but
They were sold. They were advertised as to be comfortable and good for your back,
Was it?
which it was not. Yeah.
Because I was like,
I'm trying to imagine you laying on there.
That's what I was thinking. Because I was just like, so does it not like move?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, Joshua owned one of these waterbeds. And so I'm going to guess because of that, I think the way the bed frame is for the waterbeds, there's a certain, there's like, there was space between in the waterbeds, I guess.
Yeah.
Like open space. But anyway, I'll get that back into later. But like I said, so he owned a waterbed. And so when his mom was in the middle of cleaning, she noticed that there was a puddle at the foot of the bed frame. And so she's like, in her mind, she's like, oh, there's a hole in the leak. There's a leak. There's a hole in the waterbed. And so she's trying to go down, to go look underneath the bed to see if she's able to find
Where the leak is.
And so she, I think, looks down there, and then she sees like a loose panel, I'm gonna guess. A loose panel underneath the bed frame. So she moves that, and then she looks down, and she sees like a sock or something like that. She sees a sock, so she just thinks it's one of his crusty socks that just fell between the bed frame.
Mhm.
Yeah. So she's like down there trying to like pull it, you know. And so she says that she couldn't get it to pull. It wouldn't come out. So she pulled a little harder, and then because she pulled a little harder, something went loose. Or she heard, and then she heard, something come loose, and then I think the side panel came off, and then like she saw that sock was on like a little foot. And so because of that, she was like in shock, and like she kind of gets up, but she's just like in my head, I'm like, she's like, oh shit, what the hell is that? And so I think at that point, she was trying to call her husband Steve. And
Call the cops. Call the cops.
She's trying to call her husband Steve,
Yeah.
but then like he didn't answer.
Mm-hmm.
So it just went straight to voicemail, and then per the, I think, reports, you can hear the voicemail, and you can kind of hear that she's like stumbling or what she's trying to say, and then she was just like telling Steve, "You better get here now, as soon as possible," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so because she couldn't reach her husband, she went outside to go in the neighborhood to look for the police, because I think at that time they were still looking around.
Oh.
They were still around.
They were actively still there.
Mhm.
So she, according to, I think, reports, she went up to the first officer, and she just could not talk. She was just like stumbling and
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
just
Yeah,
like,
she
probably,
just
like,
saw
trying to figure out what's
foot.
happening. So I think that police officer kind of just thought she was kind of crazy. He just kind of like okay, and then I think he eventually just told her to bring her to wherever.
Oh my god.
So she brought a few officers to her
Son's
house and went to the son's room, and she's like, check under the bed. And then so I think they did, and they found the body, and then they determined that it was Maddie.
Oh my god.
And so on the conditions of the body, they were saying like her pants and underwear were missing.
Oh.
They could tell that her body was bleeding for quite some time when it was placed in there. And then they were trying to get her body out, and then they could see that her hands were like clutched onto the frame. So that would determine that she was still alive when she was shoved in there,
Oh.
because she was holding on to it.
God.
And so because of that, they found all that, and then they were finally able to go to the Cliftons across the street to inform them that they found her.
Oh my god.
And then according to Jesse, I think they ended up, they went to report her like in the morning to the Cliftons, and so they had to bring Jessie, their older sister, to a breakfast place because they didn't want to tell her at the house, like in the environment. So they took her to a breakfast place, a restaurant, and so they were trying to explain to her that they found Maddie and that she was dead. And so the 11-year-old, she's just sitting there like she doesn't believe it, she believes that she's still alive and everything. So I guess I don't know how 11-year-olds think at that time, but
She probably feels
I'm pretty sure
guilty.
she still believed that she was still alive and denied that she was missing. So
Oh, the guilt that girl must have
I
felt.
know. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, but I don't know. They never said what she was doing or what Jessie was doing at that time. So I don't know what she was doing because they might have been playing with two different, like she may have been playing with someone else, and then
Yeah.
Maddie was doing her own thing.
Yeah.
So, but I think Joshua, I think they arrested him, I think, later in the day at his high school.
Oh my god.
So it was like arrested in front of everyone there, at least that were present. And so they didn't expect it to be him because he was known to be, you know, quiet, to himself.
It's the quiet ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so even like the Cliftons, they were surprised that it was him because he was known to be quiet, pretty obedient, and
They just thought he was just a good, quiet
a
little
good
boy.
quiet student, or a kid. And so they brought him in, and then they decided to interview him about the thing. And so on to Josh's backstory, from what I was hearing, was the reason why Josh and his mom didn't go out and be like socialize the neighborhood is because of the way his dad is. They were saying how he was a very strict dad, and he did not let them leave the house when he's not there.
That explains why the mom tried to call him first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they said that he also has 2 older step siblings. I think they're two boys. I think it's like a 10-year difference, but they took very good care of Joshua when they lived together. And I think they lived in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are older step.
Yeah, older step siblings.
Okay.
So they took care of Josh like really well. Other than that, the one that they said was they suddenly left Pennsylvania to Florida. So technically, they're fairly new to the neighborhood. They said that they moved in like 2 years prior.
Mm.
And
Okay.
so I think because that random move, I think the dad and the step siblings were kind of like upset because they were upset because the sudden move, and then they kind of split the siblings
Up. Yeah.
yeah. And so they weren't allowed to go outside at all. I guess the dad just put so much pressure on them to not leave, because if they leave, then they have a price to pay. So him, knowing him, he's scared of that, of what would happen if he broke the dad's rule. So when he got put in for questioning, he decides to tell his story. Okay, so his story of this case is that when he was on that day around 5 p.m., he said that Maddie was outside his house constantly yelling at him to come play with her and begged him to come out. So they decided to play baseball. So they went to go play baseball in his backyard instead of the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I would think Maddie would know that she's supposed to be playing in the front yard where everyone can see her,
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, from the report of in the pictures of Josh's backyard, they have a pretty big pool in the backyard. So where there's not enough room to be playing baseball in the backyard in the first place.
Yeah.
So that also led some questions too to why they decided to play in the backyard.
The math ain't mathin'.
Yeah.
To his story. Yeah. So according to Josh, he said that Maddie pitched the ball, and he hit the ball with a baseball bat, and then it apparently hit her in the face really hard, to where it started to bleed, and then she started to cry. And then out of quote quote massive fear, the only goal in his mind was to shut her up so he didn't have to get in trouble. Because at that time, I think his dad would have been home.
Yeah.
And so because of that, since he wanted her to be quiet and everything, he decided to drag her towards his house. And so his story was because of him dragging her to the house, that's how her pants came off.
Her pants and her underwear.
Yeah, her pants and her underwear. Yes. And so because he was dragging her, quote, quote, that's when the crying became screaming. And so, when children scream, you're like freaking out, like, and you're like, shh, trying to shush them.
Yeah.
So his only solution was to beat her up with the bat, to quiet her up, you know. So he ended up according to his story, he started to beat her up with the bat.
Oh my god.
And so then she finally got quiet, and then he said that he dragged her to his room and then placed her up in the bed frame. And I was looking at the diagram of the bed frame, and I was just like, hey, I had to draw it. I had to draw it for a little bit. Mind you, I'll probably take a picture or something to show it to you.
Insert photo.
So mind you, this is the bed, okay? So this is his mattress up here up top. And apparently there are these don't mind my exes, but there's these mattress supports that are in it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how much space it is underneath the bed.
Okay.
And then there's that plywood that's that separates the water mattress from the frame.
Right.
So I'm guessing this is the foot of the bed frame. This is the head of the bed frame. So, and then, because based off what the mom said, she thought that it fell between the bed frame and the wall. And so that's where she saw the sock. And so he managed to shove her in that very corner over here of towards the wall.
Oh my god.
And yeah, so he shoved her in there while she was, I think, unconscious at that time. I'm gonna assume, because once he shoved her in there, he went back down. I think his dad just got home.
Oh my god.
And so I think when his dad came home, he sat on the couch with the dad and kind of just chat, you know, and then he heard noises up in his room. So I guess he assumed that she woke up. She came she
Regained consciousness.
Regained consciousness, yeah. And so he just excused himself, and he went up there, I think, with the knife, and then
No.
went up there.
Don't tell me it gets worse.
Took her out, and then according to him, he slit her throat.
Oh my god.
And then stabbed her multiple times on the chest.
Oh my god, that
And
poor baby.
And from the report, I think from what they said was that he stabbed multiple times. And then usually what that that indicates is that he was just
Angry.
It was a purpose of him purposely stabbing her multiple times like that.
Yeah, it was probably a number.
It was intentional.
Hateful.
Yeah.
Hateful, intentional.
So because of that, and then she, I guess she got quiet now, and so he just shoved her back in there. And so people were just sitting there
He took her out, stabbed her,
And
put her back,
stuffed
shoved her
her.
back in.
yeah, shoved her back in. And then, like I said, this was a week after. So basically he was sleeping on that bed for a whole week.
Oh
her body.
my
With her body.
god.
And
In the bed, yeah.
So this is because the diagram that you showed, it's not the actual water part. So it's
No,
the
it's underneath.
It's
It's
empty
underneath,
and
yeah.
it's just
Yes.
the supports.
Yes.
Oh.
And so,
I don't know if you guys remember waterbeds. Do you guys remember how waterbeds look like?
no.
I
don't
mean,
know.
I just know that it's like a
It's
surface.
it's huge. It's
Yeah.
imagine an entertainment system over there, and then a waterbed put on top of it. So that's how thick the beds were.
Oh.
And then the waterbed kind of sat into the square, the rectangle.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it. I forgot who had a waterbed. Somebody had a waterbed. Some Hmong person did, and I remember seeing
I
one,
don't
and I'm like,
It's
"The hell?
expensive,
That
isn't
looks
it?
heavy as hell." But yeah,
Continue.
Yeah. Then, yeah, so that was his story that he was claiming to be. Because I don't think he ever changed his story. It was just always the same story that he stuck with. But then again, when they were checking on Maddie's body, they said that there was no signs of head injuries
Oh.
to support his the baseball hitting her head and hitting her repeatedly on the head with the bat. But then they just said that there was traces of blunt force trauma from the bat and stab wounds. Or I'm gonna guess the head injury part is the baseball part, the very beginning where he hit her head with the baseball. I'm guessing that's what they're talking about, and the bleeding of the baseball. But then the blunt force trauma, I'm guessing, is when he used it to shut her up.
The bat?
Yes.
He beat her with it.
So you said there is no trace of that to support his story?
Of the baseball bat, the very first hit of her
Oh,
crying.
the baseball?
Yes, with the baseball.
Hitting her.
There's no
Evidence.
proof
head
of that,
injury
but there is
from
of the
that.
shutting her up.
But of the blunt force trauma of the bats, not the baseball, but the bat.
God.
There was trauma from that. And then they also said that there was no dirt or drag marks to support that he was dragging her body to the house. So that also canceled out what his story to was. And then they also checked for if there was any sexual assault signs. There was none.
Uh-huh.
So they have no clue where the hell happened to her pants or her underwear.
Wow.
Yeah.
She had no pants
And
or underwear when they found her. She just had socks on.
She just had, I think, socks on and her shirt.
Oh my god, it doesn't make sense.
I think he probably fantasized about it, but like actually doing it, he probably couldn't do it. But he fantasized about it because there's people like that
Or they could just watch.
where they like to look at it
Yeah.
and are curious, but they don't want to.
They don't want to do
They
it.
don't want to do it.
Oh my
Or
God.
she was already, he panicked to the point where, like, when it got to that part, she was already dead and he just didn't want to do it. The fact that she was already dead, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like
I
it was
don't know.
getting there, but
Yeah.
he never got to.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so.
That's true. Because with all the screaming she did, I
Yeah,
can
he
see
probably
that.
freaked out. Yeah.
But then I always thought, too, it was like, because his story says that she started to cry in the backyard, you know? And I would think that since they're outside,
If she was crying, everybody would
everyone
hear it.
would have heard her, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and then also, like, they're like, why would they want to play in the backyard when I think their front yard, I think this in the neighborhood, their front yards are bigger than their backyard.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of kids would just play in the front yard. But specifically, they wanted to play baseball in the backyard. And then their pool, like I said, was basically took all the space in the backyard.
So there's no room to play baseball.
Yeah, so there's no
back
room to play baseball in the backyard.
Hmm.
And so because of that, they were just like, it ain't mathing. Math ain't mathing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then that's when he decided to put him into trial. So his trial starts on July 6th of 1999. So he's like 15 at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next year.
And so because this was a high profile case, basically everyone knew of this story in Jacksonville. So they decided not to trial him in Jacksonville
That's fair.
because of, bias.
Biasness.
Yeah, so they decided to do it in Barstow, Florida, which is a rural town community. And so it was very unbiased in that area. So, and then there was a bicker between whether they wanted to trial him as a juvenile or as an adult. But the judge on that case, he quote unquote said, "I do not perceive you as a child. Your monstrous act made you an adult." This is what the judge said. So he was trialed as an adult.
Damn.
And so during the trial, the prosecutors revealed some new evidence. They go.
Oh Lord.
So from them searching his room, they saw that Josh had books of the occult and devil worship in his room. And this is the 90s. And so devil worshiping and occult stuff, it's just like, oh no, that's a big no.
It's always a big no.
Yeah,
no
big
matter what
no-no.
year it is.
In Florida, but I don't know how Florida was in the 90s, so on all that stuff. And then they did mention that his mom said that he was constantly on the computer a lot of times, and I think she said that he was viewing violent porn.
Wow.
And then
How does the mom know? She's looking through the history.
Yeah, specifically cheerleading brutality
Oh my
category
God.
stuff. And I'm gonna let y'all viewers and people think of what that is. Cheerleading and brutality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you can see it. But yeah, and then back in the day, our internet has login and logout times.
Yeah.
And so they checked the login and login times, and they saw that he watched a video 30 minutes before and right after the murder took place.
Oh.
And it was the same video that he watched 30 minutes before and the same video right after.
I told you.
It's like Criminal Minds. It was a sexual release for him, probably.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I told
Yeah.
you.
And I'm just like, that's nasty. But yeah. And they also brought out evidence of the Cliftons' house hauntings, because I think around that time the Cliftons noticed a lot of things happening around the house that were very unusual. So like they also claimed that they noticed new holes within the walls of the house. I'm not sure if it's like from like outside, what holes, like from like directly from the walls outside, or like from inside.
Like in the drywall?
Yeah. It just said that there were new holes in the house that they never seen before. And then they also noticed that I think there was one time a window shattered mysteriously, thinking that it was like a robbery. So they went to check that room and nothing was like stolen. It was just a broken window.
Okay.
Yep. And then they also noticed that there were two things missing from the household, which was one was a cordless house phone, and then the other one was a photo of their oldest daughter, Jessie.
This
is Maddie's family.
I'm saying this is during the trial?
Yes.
Or is this,
This is when they're bringing up, I'm guessing this was in the past.
Oh, so they're just going over the facts.
But yeah, but this is probably throughout the time that they lived there when the Phillips were there.
Oh, man.
And then, yeah, because those two things were missing. And so when they were searching Josh's room,
They found those stuff?
they found a photo of Jesse in his room. And then they found the cordless phone buried in the backyard, Josh's backyard.
Oh, my God. So he was the perpetrator breaking in then? Basically?
That's what my assumption is, yeah.
Based on the clues?
The holes in the wall? Was he trying to be like a peeping Tom?
I have no clue.
Probably.
Because it's like, you would have to be inside the house.
This is a 14-year-old, so I don't know what's going on in his mind at that time.
A lot of the houses, I heard that the houses in the 90s were really poorly built. So.
And plus, this is in Florida, so I don't know how those houses were.
I don't know either, but I heard that the houses in the 90s were poorly built, and they're kind of like the houses right now where they're like super expensive, and like they just like had this massive wave of like just hurry up and build the houses and sell them off like hotcakes.
Yeah.
And so they like basically BS their work. So it could be possible that he was able to sneak in and go into
like
the
there was
walls.
some type of crawl space.
Yeah, because like
Oof.
that was the number one thing, is that a lot of houses that were made in the 90s were
It could have been that
poorly
window
built.
that was shattered too, that he grabbed the phone and photo.
So scary.
But why the phone?
I'm getting there.
Oh, shush. Don't.
Wow.
Every time you unravel more, I'm just kind of my jaw
I'm getting
drops
there,
even
okay?
more.
So they checked the call logs from their house, and they found some calls that were from Josh with the phone. He made $500 worth of calls to 900 numbers. So if y'all didn't know, 900 numbers equal to sex lines.
Yeah.
Oh, so he took their phone so he could make his sex
Calls.
Sex calls.
That way they can't. That way his parents can't trace it to him.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And you know, back in the 90s, it's like $2 per minute.
Well, I'm pretty sure you can pick up on the line. I'm just trying to imagine, because in the 90s, we still had the internet, right?
Yes.
So, pretty sure it's not hard to kind of like catch on who's on the phone and who's on the internet.
Yeah, but because they took that cordless phone. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how the Cliftons did not notice that phone was missing, and like their bills were going up. You know, but I don't know. I guess that just didn't really matter to them at that point.
That would be expensive even at that time in the 90s. I think it would have been expensive.
But still, $500 worth.
That's
of
what I'm saying.
calls?
That's a lot.
That's a lot back in the day.
Who knows? Maybe they have money, because that's the suburbs. You know, they have money
Yeah.
in the suburbs. So
And then they've also brought up the fact that they believe that he had a weird obsession with their older sister, the older sister Jessie.
Yeah.
Because they said that, you know, in the 90s, we always like to make home videos and stuff.
Yes.
And so I think since they've been living there for 2 years, the two girls were always featured outside and featured in their videos, you know?
Yeah.
And so sometimes Josh, you know when siblings take over, the kids take over the video, the kid recording. So he would he'll take over, and like he'll like record the girls, and then they would say like he would specifically like to focus on Jessie,
Like zoom in.
like zoom in, zoom out, you know, focus on her face and everything.
Oh boy.
Like specifically just her.
Yeah.
And so that's what they brought in too, but they just still don't know why it was Maddie who ended up being the one that
She was smaller.
yeah, cause
Maybe that was the closest thing that he can get to the
Yeah.
sister, because maybe like he was like, I want her, but I don't know how to get her.
yeah, that's what people were theorizing, that is either because she was younger and she didn't know anything, or she was just the easier target, or because he couldn't get her, he just decided
Get the
to move
closest
on.
thing.
Get the closest thing to her.
to her.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like Jessie would hang out
With Joshua?
with Joshua that often.
She probably thought he was a creep.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's 11, so I'm pretty sure 11-year-olds are
They're
kind
like,
of
you're weird.
Yeah, I was like, girls mature really fast, and I remember being at 11. I'll be like, I spot a weirdo there and a weirdo there, not going near you. You know, you feel that instinct.
yeah. So I'm just like, but yeah. Anyway, back to the trial. They said his trial did not even last that long. It was like a day.
Wow.
Guilty.
Because
what
the
it is.
defense's only reasoning and closing argument was, he's just a kid, you know. He didn't know anything.
Oh, no. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, but the only good thing that they did was they ended up hiring a neurologist to do a brain scan on him. And so when they did the brain scan, they said that he had lesions in the frontal lobe of the brain, which means that he had brain damage, quote, quote. And so because of the lesions, they said those brain damages can cause poor emotional regulations, poor judgment, and impulsivity. But the judge did not allow this to be presented in the court. Because obviously the judge didn't care for that. He's just like, there's no point of bringing that in, because it basically told what was happening. And you know, he knew what he did.
was doing, yes.
He didn't say anything like to do that. He just brought up the random story to try to cover everything up.
This goes back to your episode, Michelle. So is he a psychopath? This is
No,
brain
because-
related.
Well, it is brain related, but from what she says, they're lesions from brain damage. Whereas for psychopaths, they're born.
Oh, yeah. If I can say they were born.
Yeah, their brain is like missing something. Whereas him, I don't know, maybe he
Something
got beat
happened
by
to-
his dad or whatever.
It's true.
And that's what caused the lesions, and that's what causes him to be, you know, a sociopath, impulsivity, and stuff like that.
Dang.
But that doesn't excuse what he did. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, because people were theorizing. I was looking at the comments. People were theorizing that, like, they're like, maybe he did something in Pennsylvania, so that's why his dad had to move so suddenly, and so his dad had basically covered it up, and that's why he didn't have his kids or his son and his wife leave the house. And I'm just like,
Oh, they were on the run,
I was
probably.
like, ooh. I mean, that would make sense, because even his stepsons didn't know why the hell they left so suddenly.
So you're saying that they probably covered something up over there?
Yeah, that's what people were theorizing.
Dang.
But yeah, so Josh was pleaded. He was guilty for first-degree murder, and he had the possibility of death sentence, but because he was under the age of 16, they did life in prison with no parole. And so he was sent to the Marion County correctional facility in Lowell. Is it Lowell or Lowell?
Lowell.
Lowell, Florida.
Jeez.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive, I think, from what I was seeing. I think he's doing, like, I guess you could say he's doing pretty good in prison.
Oh man, I figured he'd be dead by like cellmates or something.
No, I think because of what they're saying was in the correctional place. I think he's mixed in with all different ages. So I think what they said was when he walked in, he saw like these old people, like really old people with like walkers, and then they were saying like basically he found out what he's gonna be doing for the rest of his life because of what he decided to do. So he's just like, oh, damn, I fucked up, basically, in his mind. But I think they said that he got his GED at the place. I think they mentioned something about Supreme Court because he was trialed as a child. I think he had a chance to get his case reviewed to see if what do you call it?
There be a lesser sentence?
Either lesser sentence or if it's still
As a minor type thing?
I think it's to see if his case is still valid because he was cased as a young child. He was trialed.
No,
as
he
a
wasn't.
child.
He was 14.
He was trialed as an adult.
Yeah,
when he wasn't an adult.
But he wasn't an adult because
Yeah.
of the new Supreme Court I think regulations. that
Oh
came-
my
That came
god.
out.
So I think in 2017 that's when they did the retrial,
Oh, man.
and then I think the person who decided to see if they're able to lessen the sentence was surprisingly, I think it was their lead prosecutor from the original case.
So the one who won the case,
Yes.
they decided to try and get him a lesser sentence?
Yeah, something like that because he just, I guess from what they said was the lead prosecutor had a change of heart
Probably felt
by
bad, I'm
2017
guessing.
because he did not know if he knew about brain damage and how much it impacts or how much it is by by 2017 from 2000 or from 1999.
Mm-hmm.
If he knew that much of brain damage and how much it affects the person, then he wouldn't have done it for first degree murder.
He would have done it for what?
I don't remember
Probably
what he
whatever's
said.
less than
Whatever's
that.
less
I don't
than
know what
that.
that is. I don't know what first degree and second degree murder, the differences between that.
Yeah.
And like manslaughter. I don't know what. the
Manslaughter is when it's
Accidental?
accidental.
difference- Oh.
So say there's a bar fight or whatever, and then one of the dudes like
For defense.
defense or whatever, and then one of them ends up like dying. Where like so that means like your intention was not to kill them, but they ended up dying anyway. So that's basically manslaughter.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. See.
But yeah, so the lead prosecutor decided to go against that to see if he's getting a lesser sentence for that. But that didn't go well because Josh ended up staying with his original plea.
Sentence?
Yeah, his sentence. So he's
Oh.
there for life.
Okay, so
Oh,
see,
he
he
decided to keep it?
Yeah, they just left it as is because of what he did, basically. It didn't look like he showed like any remorse or anything from the sounds of it.
Oh.
And plus, prosecutor did have a buttload of evidence that would indicate that he actually did it and it was intentional.
Well, to be fair for the prosecutor, I know that, like, even, like, mental health and everything right now, too, it wasn't really even taken serious. So that's probably why they felt bad and they wanted to, like, redo the retrial
yeah.
to give him another chance. But I'm guessing it sounds like there probably wasn't enough evidence. So then they just had to keep the original.
Yeah. So I think he still has like a few like I don't know if it's parole that he comes out and he comes up and asks them like
That's parole.
is it parole? Yeah, but I think Maddie's parents they go to every trial and they always go up against him being released.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
And
I would be
so-
too. Why would you want to release someone like that into society?
Yeah, it could potentially hurt somebody.
And then I
again.
think from what they said was I think Maddie's parents are divorced.
Oh.
Because I think after that, but they still go to those plead stuff.
Yeah.
And go against him. I think they said that her sister moved away for a while, and I think now she's living in that house, the same house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, she probably feels guilty like what we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that she feels like it's her fault.
Yeah.
You know, because he couldn't have her, so he took what was the closest to her, which was her little sister.
And she probably feels guilty because the first thing that her mom said was, "Where is she?"
Yeah,
And
like
she
you're
was like,
older one. You should have
Yeah.
been watching her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she probably felt guilty.
Yeah. So I think that, and I think she said she had trouble, I think, at that time, or processing all that back in the day. And she said, like, now she goes to church and stuff, church changing people. So I think she ended up forgiving him, but I think during those, like, trials and stuff, I don't think she goes against it. She just usually says God knows what to do with it, so whatever he does goes. So she doesn't want to, like, basically be part of it. And so that, and then they were like, karma got his Josh's dad, because I think Josh's dad died in 2000, literally like a year after the trial.
Oh.
Yeah,
What
because I think he
happened?
ended up dying in a car accident.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to his mom. I don't think they said anything about his mom. But yeah, so I think every so often, he still gets trial to see if they can leave, he can leave prison and stuff. But
I hope his mom got help after that, because I cannot imagine going into my son's room and finding that.
I can't imagine something's rotting, and you don't know that that's a rotting smell.
Yeah.
You know, because you can tell when something's rotting.
But then again, like I said, his
had,
room
like-
must have been smelly.
That
to where-
smelly to where you couldn't tell that something's rotting.
Well, he used incense. He used.
But then again,
Febreze.
remember they said that the Popos searched their house 3 times before that.
Yeah, I was like, how did they not?
But then again, I don't think they had like an actual like search warrant to actually like deep search.
Probably not.
And plus, they probably had the same mindset. Oh, teenage boy, smelly room, typical boy. So they kind of just never thought that was what it was.
no.
Because I don't think at that time it smelled.
That's true. It also
That
depends
bad.
on when they searched the house.
Yes.
3 times.
Because it
true.
was a week after when his mom found the body.
Sheesh.
I don't know, man. When you smell rot, you smell rot. I'm sorry. Like, that pungent, sharp smell when something's off, it's kind of like,
I don't know. I think the screaming and crying thing was just BS, because I was like, his mom's in the house.
That's what I was gonna say. Was his mom there the whole time?
Yeah, remember they're not allowed to leave the house. So I was like, that's BS of him saying that she was crying.
So that means that she probably knew then. She's
Either
probably
knew
guilty
or
then.
people were saying that maybe it didn't happen in the backyard. He's just using that for cover.
Yeah.
They were just thinking that he probably lured her into the house,
Yes, and up into his room.
and then
And
that's where he
hit her with the bat.
hit her with the bat and everything. Because I'm pretty sure they didn't find anything in the backyard to support his story.
I guess that would make more sense, but I still don't understand because it's just him and his mom in the house.
Yes.
And when you're just stuck in the house like that and you can't leave, I'm pretty sure you can hear when there's other stuff going on.
Yeah,
Unless
like,
she was just really oblivious. I
Yeah.
think his room was
Yeah.
upstairs.
I mean, unless she was in the
Oh.
living room and she had the TV on really loud.
yeah,
I guess
or in the
true.
kitchen,
Yeah.
whatever.
You can't hear.
Jeez.
Yeah, because mind you, this was around 5 p.m. when that happened. So she's probably in the kitchen
Cooking.
making dinner and everything.
Oh my God. I would feel so guilty as a mom.
I know. That's why I'm saying I hope she got help.
That's probably why you can't find her. She probably changed her name and her identity because because this was very much in the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
So she probably wanted to just
Disappear.
disappear and not have to be involved with it.
Yeah, so I was just like, But yeah, so that's the story of Maggie Clifton.
Oh my god.
Maddie.
Oh, poor Maddie.
I don't know if Maddie's like her full name or it's just like
Short
for Madison or something like that.
Poor Maddie. May you rest in peace, baby
But
girl.
Yeah, a little 8-year-old.
Because I'm like, he knew what he was doing because he shoved her in there when she was still alive, went out, pretended like nothing happened, heard it, and was like, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. Hold on a minute.
Went up there to shut her up even more.
Yes, and they took her out
and then yeah, that's what I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's where it's like, okay, you knew what you were doing.
Yeah. Because I think they also said like they weren't able to find any blood anywhere either.
Like even in his room?
Like in the room or in the room, yeah, probably in the room because it was since she was bleeding already by the time she was already in there.
Yeah.
But there was like Tim like for his story, like her bleeding outside and like bringing her into the house. There was
like
no traces.
Yeah.
There was no traces of blood at all.
Because I'm like, how did he stab her?
And blood and not any
And
everywhere.
there's like no blood on the carpet.
I don't know if they had
slit
carpet
throat.
or like wood.
know.
I don't know if it was wood flooring or carpet.
He probably just cleaned it up.
But it had to be carpet because remember she saw the white puddle by the bed. And so she was like, oh, the bed's leaking.
But that could be wood flooring too.
Yeah, you can see
But if it was wood flooring, wouldn't you see the blood?
Oh.
I don't know. See? That's I don't really know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like. So to me, it sounds like it's carpet because you can't tell if it's wet until you touch it.
But it's Florida, so I don't know if they would have carpet in Florida.
I don't know.
The constant weather, you know.
Oh.
But I don't know.
Oh my god.
That's what I'm saying. Where is all that blood going if he stabbed her multiple times?
I have no clue.
I'm just okay. Like it's like a thought crossed my mind when you're explaining about how Josh and his mindset is, and I'm just thinking, because it's not to give him any empathy, but I'm like, to be that so-called afraid, and you would go hide a body, and it's just like, damn. That's why the whole dynamic and relationship between a parent and a child is so important, because like crap like this.
But it's funny because they were like, I think they also mentioned that because his dad was strict, I think he specifically was saying like he specifically disliked young girls. His dad, Steve.
Huh?
And because of like, I think when he was talking about like his strict rules for Josh's background,
Yeah.
I think they're saying that like Steve, his dad specifically disliked young girls.
Why?
I don't know. It's something like that. But he did not like young children that were like females, and so I guess because of that specific rule, Josh, you know him in it when he was so-called playing with
He liked
Maddie.
it more?
He was freaking out when she was crying and everything
Oh,
because he's like, oh, she's like, oh crap, I'm playing with the girl.
My dad doesn't like that. Or
Doesn't,
them.
yeah, and so that's why he was like in panic mode and just trying to shut her up because he wasn't supposed to play with her.
Based on his story.
Yeah, wasn't supposed to play with her, and he didn't want her to leave either because if he leaves, she's crying, she's bleeding, and you know, younger girls, they're like to talk and they don't like.
Yeah.
They tell the truth and everything. So either way, he'll get in trouble if she leaves. So, and then that ended up him resulting to bring her into the house, quote, quote.
Poor baby girl. That's all I gotta say. Poor baby girl, man.
But yeah, I'm just like, that's scary.
That is. And it is always the quiet ones. And the fact that you already said that they don't come out of their house, I was just like, ooh, red flag. Because they're known to like just keep to themselves and they don't ever really come out. I just wondered why they didn't really look into the dad, because usually in cases like this, there's some type of domestic violence or physical abuse for the dad be that controlling.
Who knows? It was like the story. It's in 1999, so
Yeah, so
who
old.
knows? That's a whole different like time
Yeah.
of how things were handled.
Yep. Things have definitely evolved, so people are more aware of like the impacts of like brain injuries, domestic violence, and everything, and how it all.
Yeah, mental health.
Yeah. Man, that's
so that's why they were saying they were surprised that the lead prosecutor stood up for that trial in 2017.
probably felt really bad because they understand, like, with the way science has evolved now for like I said, learning about brain injuries and mental health. Like, it's a serious, like, a disease if people have some type of injury. So maybe he felt bad.
Yeah,
Maybe he was just like, let's do it again, because, like, I can't imagine being charged with the strictest what is it,
Sentence.
Yeah, sentence, and then you're only like 14 or 15. He
was 15 when they did it. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, but he said if he knew now what he knew, or if he knew then what he knew now about that, he would have done something. He wouldn't have done the first degree.
Oh, scary.
But yeah. Any other comments about this?
No, just that poor baby.
It's just really bad.
Man, I'm thinking this is like in November, but I don't know how Florida is in November. Because I don't think they get cold. Except for that. Yeah, I don't think they get cold. Except for that one time we went to is it Miami? It was like freezing.
Oh, yeah. That was
But then they said
crazy.
that was the first time that they've gone that cold over there.
Yeah.
Well, in November is still during their hurricane season, so I could imagine that it's probably like cloudy.
Cloudy and humid still.
Humid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the end of my episode to talk about Maddie Clifton and her case.
Murder mysteries.
Murder mystery. And, well, you guys be safe out there. Especially since it's
Halloween
Halloween
time.
time. There's the Missing Violence Awareness Month. And it is Latino month as well, y'all. And what else is it?
Breast cancer awareness.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So you guys support y'all's breast cancer survivors or those who are also suffering through fighting breast cancer. And say hello to y'all's Latinos. And have a wonderful time. So you guys have a great day. And you guys just be safe. Like, I swear.
But also remember to, kind of enjoy the holiday too, because I'm sure there's tons of people who love this time of year, spooky season. So
Yeah.
yeah, just have fun, be safe.
Like the tragedy of the Itaewon, y'all just be safe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well,
And
I
avoid
previously
big
talked about,
crowds if you can.
Yeah, don't just be careful and don't go into crowds if you know you can't fit. Okay. Okay. Well, bye, y'all. Y'all have a great month.
Thank you, Source Podcast.